There is a vibration that lives behind what you don't say. It settles in the gap between what you feel and what you show, in the invisible space between what your soul asks for and what you silence to fit in. This vibration has a name. It's called shadow. And the most disturbing thing is realizing that it doesn't disappear with time. It builds up. It turns into patterns, in repetitions, in reality. While you try to think positive, she sends another signal to the universe, that of someone who still lives trapped in the memory of himself. And it is this signal that the quantum field responds to. Not to your conscious will, but to your deepest inner state. The shadow is the part of you that you avoid, but never stop emitting. So maybe the question is no longer what you want to express, but yes, what inside you is vibrating silently and creating all this without you realizing it. There's a phrase that says, "What you bury alive doesn't die. It just waits for the right moment to return." The shadow is not an obscure entity. She is just energy, frozen in time, encapsulated in the body, trapped between memories and judgments. And the most surprising thing is that according to the physics of the heart, every denied emotion creates real distortions in the electromagnetic field you emit. Joe Dispenza teaches us that the heart is more than an organ. It is an energy transmitter thousands of times more powerful than the brain. When you feel something and pretend you don't, that field fragments. You become incoherent. And the quantum field, like a precise mirror, responds to this incoherence. He doesn't judge, he just reflects. So no matter how much you visualize, affirm, or wish, if what you feel is fear, guilt, or repression, it is this vibration that will find form. The shadow is actually an accumulation of unmetabolized frequencies, and every frequency that does not circulate stagnates. And everything that stagnates leaks. It leaks in the form of repetitions. It leaks in the form of patterns. It leaks into a life form that doesn't move, even when you do everything right. This is where most people get stuck, because it tries to manifest something new, with a field still frozen in ancient pains. And in the vibrational universe, what is frozen distorts. You give off mixed signals. You desire freedom, but you vibrate imprisonment. You want abundance, but your heart still beats in scarcity. That's why the first step of quantum manifestation is not wishing, it's thawing. It is feeling what has been repressed. It's embracing the vibration you've hidden and allow it to circulate again. Maybe you've already asked yourself this silent question. Why? Even though I so desire a new reality, does my life insist on repeating the same cycles? It's a legitimate question, and the answer is not in your willpower, nor in your ability to visualize intensely, but rather the vibration you can sustain when no one is looking. In the silent frequency you carry in the moments when you are not trying to control anything. You don't attract what you want. It attracts what it has become capable of maintaining. And here is the most neglected point of quantum manifestation. Reality does not respond only to your momentary focus, but at the frequency that your body has learned to carry as normal. If inside your system is still used to carrying guilt, if your emotional memory is still steeped in rejection, if your heart still lives in a state of vigilance, no matter how beautiful your intentions are, the field does not respond to your 5-minute viewing, but to its 24-hour vibration. Emotional self-censorship, that subtle need to look good, to not be annoying, to mold yourself to fit in, creates a field of profound incoherence. You present yourself as light, but vibrates tension. He smiles, but his body is on alert. He says, everything is fine, but his heart is racing. And in this friction between what you show and what you actually sustain, the universe reads what is real. Joe Dispenza teaches us that the quantum field does not read words. Reads states, read coherence, reads what is being emitted at the electromagnetic level, not what is being repeated mentally. Self-censorship, however well-intentioned it may seem, is a form of fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of being truly seen, fear that by showing what you feel, the world will turn away. But what happens is the opposite. The more you keep quiet about what you feel, the more life responds with absences, not as punishment, but as a vibrational consequence. You vibrate what you tolerate. You emit what you hold inside. And that includes the anger you don't allow, the sadness you hide, the pain you disguise with productivity. While your mouth says, "I want abundance," but your nervous system is used to lack, reality responds to what your body vibrates, and the body vibrates what it feels is safe. That's why so many people want transformation, but manifests repetition, because desire is in the mind, but the frequency is in the body, in the nervous system that learned, from an early age, to survive by denying what it feels. To manifest is to sustain a vibration, not by force, but by integration. You only sustain what your system considers familiar. And if love is strange to you, if peace seems boring to you, if abundance makes you afraid of losing, you will sabotage yourself without even realizing it. Therefore, the work is not to desire more, it is to sustain more. It's reteaching your body to feel safe in new frequencies. It is to let the light in, not by denying pain, but by the deep presence with her. Start by observing where in your life you keep quiet so as not to displease, where you say yes out of fear of losing, where you smile but inside you cringe. There lives the vibration that is creating realities in silence. There lives the shadow of self-censorship. And as long as she commands your movements, you will continue to attract experiences that support this same pattern, the life where you are not really seen. But the good news is, this may change, not by effort, but by presence. There is a silence that screams. It is not the silence of calm, it's the silence of what you never got to say, the pain you didn't name, the hurt you've swallowed so many times that it's become part of your system, the sadness you hid until she lost her voice, but not her vibrancy. And here's what few really understand. The reality you live today may not be the result of what you want, but then you never processed. In quantum physics, the concept of wave function collapse shows that everything exists in a state of possibility until the attention of the observer, you, makes that possibility become reality. But what few people know is that your field of observation is not just mental, it's emotional, it's vibrational, it is unconscious. What does this mean? It means that your unspoken pain, the one you think you've overcome because you no longer think, continues to collapse possibilities. It continues to influence what you see, what you attract, what you accept. Joe Dispenza talks about the emotional register as a pattern that remains in the body even after the event has passed. The mind can forget, but the body remembers. And the quantum field reads the body. He notices the tightness in your chest that you ignore, the lump in your throat that you call tiredness, the contraction in the back that is not just physical but energetic, encapsulated emotional memory. These silent tensions, accumulated and ignored, form a vibrational field so dense that reality responds to it like a mirror. It's not punishment. It is vibrational coherence. So you may be doing everything right spiritually, meditating, visualizing, affirming, but if your emotional field is saturated with undigested hurts, it will be stronger than any mental intention. Unintegrated pain becomes quantum command. It becomes the lens through which you observe the world, and as you watch, you collapse the same pain into new forms again. Relationships that repeat the original wound. Scenarios that evoke the same childhood helplessness. Events that reinforce the belief, nothing changes. But here's the sacred paradox. The pain you avoid is the key to the field you want to collapse. Because it is by embracing what you have rejected that your field reorganizes itself. It is by naming what hurts that its frequency changes stations. It's when you allow sadness to be felt, with dignity, without rushing, that it stops making noise. Greg Braden, when talking about the heart as a bridge between the body and the field, reveals that cardiac coherence is only possible when there is real emotional alignment. It is not enough to think positively. It is necessary to feel true. Therefore, the first step to transforming your reality is not to declare that everything is fine, but to admit, with courage, what still it is not. The universe does not respond to your facade. It responds to your frequency. And every denied frequency blocks the collapse of the desired reality. Have you ever wondered why certain emotional patterns repeat themselves, even after years of self-discovery? Because it's not enough to understand. It is necessary to embody liberation. Giving in to emotion isn't weakness, it's vibrational engineering. It is to clear the channel so that a new reality can collapse without interference. So here's an invitation, simple but revolutionary. Sit in silence. Close your eyes, yes, but not to escape. Close them to feel. Ask your body, what still hurts here that I never allowed myself to feel fully? The answer may come as an image, a memory, or just a feeling. Don't force it, don't fix it, just allow. This space of allowing is the beginning of vibrational release, because only when pain is recognized, it stops being the silent basis of your reality. And the question that guides us now, what part of you is still collapsing realities, just because it was never heard? What if the reality that surrounds you was, in fact, a mirror? Not a literal mirror, but an energetic one. A mirror that does not reflect your appearance, but your frequency. Most people still live in the illusion of separation, that there is an I here and a world out there, that events are random, that life happens by chance, that everything is external. But at the quantum level, where matter is vibration and reality is collapsed by consciousness, this separation disappears. The outside is actually a vibrational portrait of your inside, a holographic reading of your coherence, a perfect reflection of what is active in your field, even if you don't realize it. And here comes the shadow. The shadow, as Carl Jung taught us, is everything you reject within yourself. But energetically, it is more than that. She is the unrecognized vibrational code. It is the hidden fragment of your frequency, the part of your energy that you have shut off from consciousness, but that you have never stopped emitting. Imagine a radio that keeps transmitting a frequency, even if you're not listening anymore. That's exactly what happens with your shadow. She keeps vibrating, and the universe, like a sensitive mirror, captures this signal and translates it into events. So the more you avoid something within yourself, but reality insists on placing it before you, not as punishment, but how is it a mirror? Do you avoid feeling anger? It will come in the form of people who irritate you. Do you shy away from feelings of abandonment? It will arise in relationships that leave you alone. Do you hide guilt? Situations will arise to trigger it until you face it head on. Life doesn't miss the mirror. It only amplifies the active vibration. Greg Braden explains that the universe is an intelligent, holographic, and responsive field. This means that each part contains the whole, and the whole responds to the part. I.e., what vibrates in you is projected onto the field and returns in the form of circumstances, people, and experiences. And the more you resist, the more the mirror intensifies. Because the function of reality is not to please you, it is to reveal you. And as long as you don't embrace your shadow, it will continue to be the filter of everything you see. The external world then becomes a theater of projections. You see rejection where there is only silence, sees threat where there is only opinion, see abandonment where there is only space. But none of this is real in the objective sense. It is real in the vibrational sense. It's what's being filtered through your inner lens, a lens stained by fragments of the unintegrated shadow. And that's the most uncomfortable and most liberating secret. What hurts you outside reveals you inside, and what activates you emotionally is what calls you inward. This is the real spiritual work. Stop blaming the mirror and start taking care of the reflected image. When you align yourself internally, when you accept anger, pain, fear, without judgment, but with presence, reality is reorganized. Because the mirror changes when the vibration that feeds it changes. You stop living in reaction, he begins to live in response, and even more so, in creation. That's why demonstration without integration becomes frustration. You can say whatever you want, but if the shadow is still active, it is the shadow that the field mirrors. So here's a simple yet transformative practice. Throughout the day, notice your triggers. What irritates you? What hurts you? What do you judge in others? Instead of reacting, ask, what is this revealing about the frequency I'm carrying right now? This question, asked honestly and kindly, is a portal to vibrational liberation. Because in the quantum universe, the other is just the mirror. And the real alchemy begins when you stop polishing the mirror and begins to transform the light that passes through it. There is a kind of silence that the universe does not ignore. It is not the silence of peace. It is the silence of incoherence. It's when your body says help, but your mouth says it's okay. When your heart aches, but your smile remains. When the chest screams for rest, but the mind insists on keeping up appearances. This silence vibrates. This silence transmits. This silence emits a frequency so dissonant that the surrounding field responds with confusion, delay, noise. Joe Dispenza and the HeartMath Institute show us something surprising. The heart has an electromagnetic field up to 5,000 times more powerful than that of the brain. And more, this field emits constant signals to the environment. Signals that contain more than just heartbeats, contain emotion. They contain truth. When you are in coherence, that is, when you feel and live what you affirm, the heart beats in harmony. And this harmony creates a clean, stable, magnetic signal. It is in this state that the quantum field responds with greater clarity, speed, and fluidity. But when there is emotional denial, when you pretend to be okay so as not to bother, when you force gratitude without having digested the pain, the heart goes into incoherence. And this incoherent field generates the opposite of what you want to manifest. It creates noise. And the universe, like a sensitive mirror, reflects this noise in the form of delays, disconnections, situations that seem stuck. Not because you are incapable, not because you don't deserve it, but because your energetic emission is misaligned with your intention. It's like trying to hear a clear song, but with two radios playing at the same time. One says, "I am ready to receive." The other whispers, "I'm still scared." And the field? The field vibrates with that which is most constant, most profound, most honest, even if it's the pain you don't want to admit. This is the paradox of forced positivity. It may seem spiritual, but it is just a sophisticated version of repression, because there is no real light without passing through shadow. There is no coherence if the heart is contracting, even while you pretend to expand. Science has shown that emotions like gratitude, compassion, and forgiveness generate coherent heart patterns, smooth, harmonious, consistent. But to get to these states, you must first give voice to what separates you from them. Anger you don't express creates blocks. The sadness you rush to get over it turns into chronic tension. The fear you ignore turns into hyper-control. All of this vibrates. All of this interferes. True vibrational elevation does not begin with mantras or beautiful phrases. It starts in the body. Listening. In the courage to feel without judging yourself. Therefore, a fundamental question at this point in the journey is, what is my heart saying while my mouth repeats that everything is okay? This question can change your reality more than any technique, because in the silence of sincere listening, the heart begins to emit a new vibration, that of authenticity. And that one is irresistible to the quantum field, because there is nothing more magnetic than someone at peace with their own truth. So before you say, "I am abundant," ask your heart, do you feel confident in this statement? If the answer is no, don't force it. Welcome, rules, feel it, breathe, and allow the body to align with the intention. Only then does coherence form. And with it, the silent miracle of manifestation begins. There is a subtle scene that repeats itself in many spiritual journeys. The person says they want abundance, repeat affirmations, visualize, trust, but inside he feels guilty when he receives it. He is afraid of losing, feel like you're not enough. And the universe, which does not respond to desire, but rather at sustained frequency, repeats the same cycle of almost better, almost here. It almost happens. It must be said honestly, you don't manifest abundance by trying to escape scarcity. You manifest abundance when integrating the scarcity that formed you. Because scarcity is not essentially about money. It's about memory. It's about unmetabolized energy. It's about a childhood where receiving was dangerous, where asking was wrong, where dreaming was synonymous with disappointment. That memory lives in you, not as rational thought, but as embodied vibration. It lives in the way you breathe when you look at your bank statement, in the involuntary tension when someone offers you something, in the silent shame of wanting more. And it is exactly this frequency of fear, of insufficiency, of containment that the field captures, that the universe mirrors, that life translates. Joe Dispenza reminds us that the body is the unconscious. He reveals, without you saying it, what he truly believes is possible for you. And if your body is still used to surveillance, to emotional scarcity, to the idea that nothing comes easy, this is what you will be sustaining, even if you wish otherwise. Abundance in the quantum field is first and foremost an internal state. It is not created by visualization alone. It anchors itself when your nervous system feels safe to receive. And safety here is not a goal. it's a frequency. Therefore, the deepest work is not to attract wealth. It's healing the part of you that learned to live with little, because I thought I deserved less. This is the blind spot of most manifestation practices. They teach how to design the future, but not to reconcile the past. They want to say I am prosperous without cleaning up the trauma of I never was. And in this mismatch, the field becomes confused, because the mind asks for the new, but the body still vibrates the old one. Integrating scarcity is not accepting limitations. It is to recognize its origin. It is going to the point of origin of this energetic contraction and gently allow it to dissolve. This process can be uncomfortable. You may feel angry that you believed you had to settle. You may feel sadness for the opportunities you denied yourself. You may feel ashamed for having judged your own desires, but it is precisely at the bosunsli to feel these emotions that the body changes seasons. And the field then responds, because now you are no longer running away from scarcity. It is transcending it. True abundance arises when your entire system, mind, heart, and body, learn to feel at home in the flow of receiving. No fear, no resistance, no justification. So here's a subtle but profound practice. When receiving something, a compliment, a gift, help, stop for a moment. Breathe. Observe what emerges. Do you feel embarrassed, gratitude, guilt, rejection? This moment reveals the vibration you still hold about deserving. And the question that can change your field is, what inside me still believes it is dangerous to receive in full? This investigation, done with love, is a portal, because it only becomes possible to sustain abundance when your body stops fearing it. Imagine for a moment that there is a version of you who already lives what you desire. She is not a distant ideal. She is a real possibility. Live in the quantum field, waiting to be collapsed. This is the essence of the concept of quantum double, as addressed by thinkers such as Jean-Pierre Garnier-Mallet and, symbolically, by Greg Braden. There are parallel versions of you, potentials, futures, frequencies, that exist simultaneously in the universe of possibilities. But here's the detail that almost no one mentions. Your double doesn't just react to what you want. He responds to what you vibrate in silence. To the parts of yourself that you deny, repress, or disguise, your shadow. That version of you that feels angry, who feels envy, who feels small, inadequate, alone. That part you try to heal before it's seen, as if it were a spiritual error. And while you avoid that part, your field remains tuned to it, because the universe is not moralistic. He is coherent. He doesn't reward what is beautiful. It mirrors what is true. And if your inner truth is still fragmented, if there are parts of you that you lock in the basement of your consciousness, they keep vibrating, and the field returns. It returns in the form of repeated experiences, of relationships that activate your wounds, of cycles that seem like punishments, but they are just vibrational responses. You say you want peace, but his camp is armed with surveillance. You claim you want love, but fears being truly seen. You declare that you trust, but your body pulses in control, and the double responds to the deeper vibration, the one you don't verbalize, but supports it with its entire system. Greg Braden reminds us that the field is a mirror of coherence and not of appearance, and when your shadow is not integrated, it becomes the silent script that writes your life. You attract what you need to reveal. You collapse realities that force you to look at what you've avoided. That's why sometimes the biggest failures are just quantum movements of revelation, not to hurt you, more for your defragment. Shadow is not the opposite of light. It is the part of the light that has not yet been recognized. And while she is not seen, you will live in a paradox, wanting change but collapsing repetition. The work, therefore, is not to kill the shadow, but sit with her. Listen to her. Welcome her. Transform it from hidden noise in integrated music. When you give voice to the part that feels afraid, she stops screaming in a sabotage manner. When you embrace the part that feels guilty, it stops preventing you from receiving. When you embrace jealousy, anger, insecurity, not as flaws, but as wounded parts, your field reorganizes, and the quantum double begins to approach. Because now, you're not just asking for a new reality. You is becoming the being that can sustain this reality without having to hide parts of yourself. Here's a question to silence and let vibrate inside. What part of you has been ignored in the name of spirituality and is asking to come back into the field? She doesn't want to destroy you. She wants to be heard. And when welcomed, it transforms into power, because the quantum field does not require perfection. He demands coherence, and that includes even what you have deemed unspiritual. Not all light illuminates, some dazzle, and not all love is liberating. Some are just subtle forms of control. On the spiritual path, there is a trap that is as seductive as it is dangerous, that of false light. She looks like evolution, speaks beautifully, breathes positivity, repeats mantras. But fear vibrates. Fear of feeling, fear of making mistakes, fear of being human. This false light is a sophisticated version of emotional repression. It is spirituality that teaches you to smile while you bleed, that pushes you towards higher thinking when your soul just wants to rest in pain. That's when you learn that positive thinking is the solution to everything and begins to fear his own emotions. As if anger were a mistake, as if mourning were weakness, as if fear were a vibrational failure. But the field energy does not move through the mask. She moves through vibrational honesty. And when you dress the light to hide the shadow, creates a frequency of denial. And denial sabotages. Sabotage your manifestation, sabotage your presence, sabotage your coherence. The frequency of the false light is the control frequency. It's fear disguised as love. It is rigidity disguised as discipline. It is the ego dressed in the clothes of peace. And the cruelest part, she makes you believe that the problem is you, that if you don't manifest, it's because you're thinking wrong, that if life hurts you, it's because you aren't vibrating right. And then you start blaming yourself for feeling, for not being able to maintain the high frequency all the time, for being human. But this guilt, this spiritualized self-demand, is exactly what keeps your field incoherent. Why quantum coherence does not require perfection. She demands real presence. Joe Dispenza teaches that the state of coherence occurs when the heart and mind are in harmony, and this is only possible when you honestly embrace what is alive in you now. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it is doubtful, even if it's sad, it is this listening that brings the body back to safety, and it is in this security that the vibration rises, naturally, effortlessly. No repression. False light teaches you to perform. True coherence teaches you to feel. And feeling, even when it hurts, is more spiritual than pretending to be light, because there is nothing higher than being whole, with shadow, with flaw, with tears, with humanity. So if you feel tired from trying to always maintain a beautiful energy, if you feel guilty for still feeling pain, if you judge yourself for not being able to vibrate high all the time, no, you are not failing. You are alive. And perhaps the most spiritual thing you can do today is to allow your truth to descend into the body, to the womb of feeling, and rest there. Here's the game-changing question. What inside of me have I clothed with light, just so I don't have to feel how I really feel? The answer may hurt, but it can also be liberating, because it's not the emotion that holds you back, it's the fear of feeling it completely. And when that fear is dissolved, you no longer need to hide your shadow. She transforms. And its light finally stops being a performance to become a presence. Every emotion is a vibration. Every emotional state you experience or repress has a field, an energetic signature, a direct impact on the reality you live in. David Hawkins, a physician and consciousness researcher, has mapped this out precisely. In his scale of consciousness, he showed that emotions like shame, guilt, and apathy vibrate at very low frequencies. Frequencies that compress the field, contract the heart, and block the collapse of new realities. But what few people understand is that these emotions don't go away when you deny them. They bury themselves. And what is buried continues to vibrate. Shame, for example, is one of the most energetically destructive emotions. She says, silently, I am wrong. And this silent judgment creates such a dense vibration that everything around begins to align with this internal perception. Relationships, opportunities, finances, everything seems to confirm this feeling of inadequacy. Guilt is another subtle and powerful field. She doesn't say, I am wrong, but I did something wrong. And this vibrational guilt triggers a cycle of self-sabotage. Unconsciously, you start to prevent good things from remaining, as if you needed to pay for something, even if I don't even know why anymore. What about anger? Anger, When felt with presence and channeled with awareness, it can be the energy of movement, of liberation. But when repressed, especially by those who want to be good, be spiritual, it turns into chronic tension. The body stiffens, the heart closes, and the field comes in vibrational collapse. Every buried emotion becomes a point of energetic emission. And as the field responds to coherence, these unintegrated emotions create noise. They interfere with the signal. They misalign your frequency from what you want to sustain. You may want peace, but if shame vibrates in you, it will attract judgment. You can wish for love, but if the guilt still pulsates, it will sabotage the bond. You can ask for abundance, but if anger is repressed, it will be afraid to expand. Reality organizes itself, even if silently, around what you emit consistently, not with words, but with vibrational presence. This is why Hawkins associated emotions with power levels, not in the sense of control, but of the capacity to sustain new collapses of reality. When you enter the field of acceptance, for example, the frequency rises, the body relaxes, the nervous system regulates itself, and it is in this state that manifestation becomes possible. Not because you thought positive, but why you have become energetically available. But to reach this acceptance, you have to go through the pain of shame, the weight of guilt, the tension of anger. Denying does not liberate. Feel, yes, safely, with presence, with compassion. So here is a simple yet profound invitation. Choose an emotion that you avoid, the one that embarrasses you, the one that embarrasses you. Sit with her, breathe with her. Ask, what are you trying to protect me from? What do you need to dissolve? The simple act of listening to what was buried dewines. It is a vibrational healing. It's a field cleaning. It's a rewriting of the signal you send out to the universe. Because you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what your field is capable of supporting without fear. And to sustain something new, it is necessary to release the old. No judgment, no rush, no escape. In the silence of the countryside, there is no morality. There is no right or wrong. There's only one answer. More constant vibration response, more coherent, more sustained. And here's one of the most uncomfortable truths and more liberating of the manifestation process. The universe doesn't listen to what you want. It responds to what you keep without imploding from the inside. Most people want great things, abundance, love, freedom, expression, but still carries an emotional field structured in survival, in the silent contracts of pain, in the frequency of scarcity that you have learned to normalize. And when these people try to attract the new without first integrating the old, what happens is a disorderly collapse. The demonstration turns into chaos. Reality seems to be falling apart. Relationships break down, paths get blocked, the body collapses. And it's not because the universe is testing you. It's because the field is saying precisely, this new reality cannot be maintained in an incoherent field. The unintegrated shadow creeps in. Disguise yourself. Sabotage. And what was supposed to be an evolutionary leap becomes a loop of frustration. You even get close to what you want. But he can't sustain it, because sustaining is deeper than wishing. It is to vibrate in tune. It is having the nervous system available to receive without panicking, without activating the old self-sabotage mechanisms, without shrinking from the new. Greg Braden teaches us that reality is organized around coherence, and coherence is not thinking positively. It aligns thoughts, emotions, and actions on a single frequency. When this happens, the field responds fluidly. You get into a kind of flow where things move effortlessly. Not because everything is easy, but why are you no longer resisting what you feel? You're no longer pretending everything is okay. You are anchored in the now, with all its light, with all its shadow, with all its truth. This state of integrated presence is the true portal of manifestation. It is the point where desire no longer vibrates as lack, but as a natural consequence of who you have become. You stop asking, and it begins to be. This is why the field only collapses with stability when you are no longer begging for change, but inhabiting a new vibration as a natural state. And this stability only arises from the welcomed shade, from the chaos understood, of the emotion felt and metabolized. Because what doesn't integrate fragments, and what fragments disorganizes the field. The path of true manifestation is a path of radical vibrational honesty. It's looking at yourself and asking, what inside me is still interfering with what I say I want? And more than that, who do I need to become to stand up for what I desire without fear? The answer will not come from the mind. It will come from the body, from the heart, from the breath that comes out, of the tension that dissolves, of the returning presence. Because in the end, you do not manifest on merit, you manifest through coherence. And coherence only flourishes when you stop running away from what still vibrates silently within you. You no longer need to chase the reality you desire. It already exists. She already vibrates. What's missing is not desire. It is the integration of the frequency that can sustain it. And it starts not when you think bigger, but when you allow yourself to feel deeper. So before you go, take a breath, feel your body, and ask yourself silently, what within me is ready to be integrated so that the field can finally respond with clarity? The answer will come, and with it, a new reality born from within.